What's up, guys? Welcome to Cinco Symposium. All right, so I'm gonna go over a tweet from Joe Vargas, he's Joe from the Angry Joe Show. If any of you are nerds and listen to this guy, I've been following him for well over a decade. He's mostly a game reviewer. That's how he got kind of started out, or at least that's how I found him. And then he started doing movie reviews. And he's in the movie game reviews. He's big in that, and like I said, I've really enjoyed a lot of his content throughout the years. But every now and then, this guy likes to get political. Every now and then, he likes to put out a tweet or something like that just doesn't make sense, or is just completely wrong, or something that I'm interested in answering back on. So we're gonna get into that. Before we do, please hit that like button, share the video, subscribe. Really helps me out. Comment, let me know what you think about the issues that I'm talking about. But all right. Anyway, so he's a big YouTuber. He from the Angry Joe Show, and like I said, he tweets. He lives in Austin, so he's up in Austin, Texas, which everyone knows is like the Democrat hub of Texas. And now I'm down in San Antonio. I'm a bit of Texas. I'm a born Texan, proud, awesome, love Texas, best state inside the United States. So I also enjoy getting to kind of rag on other Texans that, in my mind, are making things worse, right? So he tweeted out this meme of, this angry, and it's from Turning Point USA, where my rent went up again. We need to raise taxes on those greedy capitalist landlords. That's generally what you see. It's what you hear a lot of from the people on the left, that they want to raise taxes on all these people making any kind of extra money. These insanely rich landlords, right? And then it's the other side of it. Maybe if you let them keep more of their money, they could afford to let you keep more of yours. So that's the meme, which makes sense, right? Like maybe if we weren't getting taxed tens of thousands, I mean, even on the poorest end of people, the poorest people are getting taxed thousands of dollars every single year. And then you got middle class people that are getting taxed, say, like tens of thousands every single year, and that hits them hard. And that's a lot of money. And what do we see that's happening with our taxes? How many hundreds of, well over 100 billion has been shipped to Ukraine. We got millions of dollars being thrown all over the place. Pakistan gender studies. I know that's the one that always gets used, but still, it's millions of dollars. How about we spend that millions of dollars on fixing the Flint water system? How about we spend the millions of dollars, I don't know, trying to figure out the homeless crisis, maybe come up with a program to build them. I mean, there are programs where people are building them tiny homes and trying to get them, a foot back like in society where they have a place to stay, maybe to call their own, even though that's not always the answer, because there's some people that just don't want to take care of a house. A house takes upkeep and maintenance, and there's some people that just don't want that. They don't want the responsibility. But anyway, back to the whole point with Joe. He tweeted out, "If you're a Republican, can you tell me how conservatives buy into this kind of shit? Especially when there's so much clear evidence against it. It's sinisterly genius, really. Getting the people to enthusiastically vote against themselves. I wish they'd see through it at some point." So, my thing is, what is he, well, I know what he's a hardcore Democrat. He lives in Austin. He wants to vote to give more and more money to the government because he believes that the government is going to do something good with it. How many billion, we got untold billions that have been lost from all the COVID relief stuff. We have tens of the billions of the Ukraine that's unaccounted for. We don't know I don't even know if we know what any of it was spent for. But as we know, Ukraine is a very corrupt country. But he wants to talk about landlords and the rich, greedy people. Let me tell you something. The vast majority of landlords are individuals that are in the middle class, and a lot of people that are retired and have pretty much spent their or invested into like one or maybe a couple of properties as their fallback, or that's their retirement to get that. I myself as a landlord, I have one other house. I purchased a house when I moved to San Antonio because I was stationed here in the Marines, and then I was able to, a few years later, purchase another house, which is the one I live in now, and so I rent out that one. And I'll give you an example. I had refinanced, got a good mortgage rate on it, was doing well, and in just this past year alone, I started getting hit from 2 different counties, for one being a ISD tax as well as one for being in Bexar County. My taxes single-handedly raised my mortgage $400 in my rental house. What am I going to have to do to that house price now to make sure I break even, to make sure that I'm not losing money, to make sure I can pay my mortgage? I'm going to have to raise my rates. And I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it. There's just the general market of what's around. How many people are moving into your community? Is it the demand high for housing? Is the demand low? Can you raise your prices? But I'm saying my situation alone, my mortgage was drastically. You're talking about a 30% increase in my mortgage due to property taxes alone. And if anyone's unclear, Bexar County, San Antonio, is a blue city as well, which have had blue mayors and blue judges, Democrat-ran people. Now, Austin especially. He's talking about Austin, and he's kind of mentioning, I don't know if he knows anything about, like, real estate or, being a landlord or anything of that, but he's griping about, or he's making fun of this whole meme that's specifically talking about, like, taxes and the cost of living. And if you go to realtor.com, Austin is one of the most expensive place to live inside Texas. If we just look at Texas, the median listing home price is $600,000. Now, I've also got a Texas Realtor pulled up over here. We can look at all the different cities. McKinney, the median McKinney is pretty expensive, $524. But San Antonio, $300,000. Fort Worth, $350,000. Houston, $350,000. I don't know where University Park is, $2.3 million. Dallas, $399.9. Austin, $600. Keller's like a subsection of Dallas, but it's a richy neighborhood. But so when you're looking at the biggest cities, like, they're almost half of almost half of what Austin is. And like I said, we know Austin is the Democrat capital of Texas. It is the hippie drum circle of Texas. So while he's living in one of the most expensive cities inside Texas, and he's making fun of a thing where Republicans are going to go, how about you let the just people keep more of their money? And then specifically targeting landlords, which I'm saying the vast majority of landlords are individuals owning one or two properties. It's not these giant corporations, which, I mean, that is scary too. You talk about BlackRock, they're buying up whole neighborhoods. But for landlords, which, like I said, I'm one of them, I'm struggling to get by because property taxes keep going up. They keep changing my mortgage and then shooting my mortgage up. What do I have to do to battle that? I have to raise my rates. And just like, and we can go back to the meme, and maybe his whole point is that if the people were given less money, they would still be charging the same. And you're probably right, maybe. But like, overall, the idea that the right tries to push is, how about we just let people keep more of their money? Let everyone keep more of their money. Why is he so gung-ho for the government taking all the money? And do you trust the government with more of your money? Look at what they're doing with our money. You think they're going to do better? Do you think things have gotten better? And we're talking about housing also with this meme, housing affordability. My thing is, let's get people in their own homes. Let's try to work on getting everybody to get into their own home and stop being a rental person. I understand not everyone's ready for it. Not everyone can put a down payment on a house. They got bad credit, whatever. Like, we need to start teaching finances and public education. But also, let's look at what else is keeping people from getting inside their homes, right? They need the interest rate. The interest rate of trying to get in a house. And what's it directly affected the interest rate lately in these past year or so? With the Fed, who has raised the interest rates astronomically. I mean, jumped huge. When we're down like in the high 2s, 3% interest rates, and now we're in the 6s and 7s. And what has happened? Look at all this. This was the inflation rate of the United States from 2012 to 2022. It's all in the ones, maybe got to the low 2s. And 2020 was 1.4% interest rate. 2021, 7. Jumped to 7% for the inflation. Then 6.5 in 2022. And so the Fed has been trying to battle that because we've been printing money and sending it everywhere else. And we've been printing money and printing money and printing money. And you know what? I'm not going to blame Democrats alone for that. because that is Republicans too. We got a spending problem. We need to cut back on government power. Why don't we? That's something that Mr. Angry Joe does not vote for, to make smaller government. He has consistently voted to make bigger government. And that's what's happening, is we have bigger government coming in and taking control of more and more. And as we've seen time and time again, they are incompetent. And they believe they can do better with your money than you can. And I don't believe that. I believe I can do better with my money than the government can. But the government's not asking, they just take. They just take. And this guy votes to put more people in to take. And as the inflation rate goes up, then they got to raise the interest rates. And then the interest rates goes up, and then no one can afford to buy their own house. Or at least the rich can. And that's my problem with them, is the super rich can. The wealthy people can still afford to buy houses. It cuts out the bottom half of everybody else. The people living in the middle class down to the very poorest, they can't take, when they were looking at it, they might have been able to afford to buy a house at $200,000 to $300,000, and at a 3% interest rate, that gets risen to 6%. They can no longer afford that mortgage rate, because that mortgage is going to jump up about at least 30 to 40% just because of the interest rate going up alone. So they have made housing affordability skyrocket. Average people can't buy it. It was just reported last quarter that KB Homes, one of the biggest developers in the U.S., they had 68% of homes that were under contract, 68% canceled, because it changed from these people being able to afford it to not being able to afford it. So KB was building these thousands or tens of thousands of homes for people, how many it was, and then 68% of those contracts, homes under contract, were canceled because people can't afford them anymore. People can't afford to get in houses. But yet this guy keeps voting for that. He wants to bitch at Republicans for having to charge more on rental properties. How about we cut down on spending? How about we stop printing money and sending it overseas? How about we worry about people at home when we get things under control here? I mean, how about we stop taking so much money from the individual citizen? How about we trust people with their own money and what to do with it than the government? Because like I said, they're incompetent. They ain't gonna do well with it. Angry Joe, I love your show when you're talking about games, and when you're reviewing games, and when you're reviewing movies. Movies, kind of whatever, you hit and miss on those. But I don't know, when you're gonna come out and get political, that's what I'm gonna answer back on your. I just think you have a incredibly stupid take here. I think you just believe in stupid things, and you're in your Austin extreme leftist bubble. That's what I think, but I don't know. That's my opinion on your little tweet. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Hit that like button. Until next time, y'all have a great day.